You think you know museums, but you've never seen them like this. I'm a security guard at one of New York's most prized institutions, nestled in the heart of Manhattan. It's the kind of place you've probably seen in documentaries or passed by on school trips. By day, it's a bustling temple of culture. Wide-eyed tourists, school children with clipboards, professors whispering excitedly about ancient pottery. But by night, it's something else entirely. Something far older, much less welcoming. I've worked the night shift here for almost 2 years. At first, it felt like a dream job. Decent pay, benefits, and the quiet of an empty museum with priceless relics all around me. But nobody warned me about the rules. Not the typical security protocols, though there are plenty of those. I mean the real rules. The ones they don't write down. The ones whispered to you during your first solo round. Passed along like urban legends. Only, they're real. Tonight feels heavy. It's the kind of night where the city's noise fades into a static hum, and the shadows don't fall where they should. I swipe in through the private employee entrance at 10:56 p.m., 4 minutes before my shift starts, like always. The guard I'm relieving, Julian, meets me near the reception desk. His eyes look a little more bloodshot than usual. "You good?" I ask, scanning his tired face. He just chuckles dryly and mutters, "Pay extra attention to the West Wing tonight. And whatever you do, don't stop in front of the Sumerian tablet." Then he walks off without another word. I know better than to ask questions. We've all learned that the hard way. The museum is majestic in a way that photos never capture. Massive marble columns stretch toward vaulted ceilings. Chandeliers the size of compact cars hang above hand-woven Persian carpets. Exhibit halls spiral out from a central atrium, each one a doorway into a different chapter of human civilization. Ancient Egypt, classical Greece, imperial China, the lost cities of Mesoamerica. And then there's the special collections wing. But I'll get to that. I begin my first patrol of the night, flashlight in hand. The museum is closed, yet the air feels charged, like something's holding its breath. I walk through the Hall of Antiquities, my boots echoing faintly across the polished floor. A row of Roman statues lines the corridor, stern marble faces illuminated just enough to look alive. Their eyes always seem to follow you, even when you try not to look back. There's a reason the rules exist. I didn't believe them either at first. I thought they were just rituals left over from superstitious times. But things change when you're alone at 3 a.m., and you hear soft footsteps in a hall you just cleared. When you find a door open that you know, was locked 10 minutes ago. When an artifact on display is suddenly facing the wrong direction. The first strange thing tonight happens near the African art exhibit. I'm walking past a display case housing a ceremonial mask from the Dogon tribe when I hear something rattle behind the glass. I stop and shine my light on the case. Nothing seems out of place, but then I notice it. The mask has shifted, just slightly. Its gaze is no longer neutral but tilted toward me. I blink and back up a step. Maybe it was always like that, I tell myself. Maybe I just noticed it for the first time. That's the lie we tell ourselves every night. The intercom crackles softly above me. Standard systems check, but the sound is off, garbled. Instead of the robotic voice that usually confirms all systems operational, I hear what sounds like a whisper. Not words, just breath. I move faster now, heading to the West Wing like Julian warned. This area is home to some of the oldest pieces in the collection. The walls are lined with glass cases of ancient Mesopotamian tablets, cuneiform inscriptions, and votive statues with unblinking, circular eyes. Rule number 3. Never stop walking in front of the Sumerian tablet. I don't know who wrote the rules. They're passed down from guard to guard, like Holy Scripture. Some say they came from a curator who vanished in the 70s. Others say it started with the tablet itself, acquired in an ethically gray deal from a site in what is now southern Iraq. No one reads the inscription anymore. Not since it made a temp in turn convulse and pass out for 47 seconds. When he woke up, he couldn't remember his name. As I round the corner, I see the tablet's exhibit at the far end of the hall. The stone is black, rough-edged, and covered in tiny script, so dense it looks like it's still wet. The spotlight above it flickers, then steadies. My legs suddenly feel heavy. Something about the air around it. It's colder, denser, like standing in the vacuum of space. I follow the rule. I keep walking, my eyes straight ahead, heartbeat steady, lips pressed into a line. Behind me, something groans softly, like stone grinding against stone. I keep walking. Once I'm safely into the next hall, I allow myself a breath. It escapes shakily from my lungs. I check my phone. 1:22 a.m. Time moves differently in here. Some nights feel like a sprint. Others stretch like an endless corridor. I decide to take a brief detour to the Greek wing. The sculptures here are less active, at least in my experience. There's a quiet reverence to this part of the museum. Rows of white marble gods and goddesses standing in perfect silence. The central statue is a towering Apollo, arms outstretched, face chiseled into eternal serenity. But tonight his shadow looks wrong. It spills too far across the floor, reaches toward me like a long arm. I move the flashlight around the room. There are no other lights casting interference. I test it. Step closer. The shadow retreats just slightly. I step back. It lunges again. I shut off my flashlight. The darkness swallows the room completely. I don't move. My breath is shallow. You're straining for sound. After 10 agonizing seconds, I switch the flashlight back on. The statue is where it was, unmoving. But there's a fine dusting of stone chips near the base. Chips that weren't there during last night's round. I walk backward out of the room. There's an unspoken agreement among us night guards. None of us talk to the exhibits. We don't ask questions. We don't touch the glass. And we never, ever stay after our shift ends. The building doesn't like it. You'll feel in your bones if you try. Back in the security office, I pour myself a cup of stale coffee. The monitors flicker softly, each showing a different corner of the museum. For a brief moment, every feed cuts to black. When they return, one of the cameras, camera 9, covering the west wing, shows movement. A figure in the hallway, dressed in black. Not a guard, not staff, not even moving like a person. I lean closer. The figure is tall, far too tall. Its arms hang nearly to its knees. It walks with a stilted, gliding gait, and its face, no, its lack of a face, makes my skin crawl. Just a blank oval, smooth and featureless, turning slowly toward the camera as if it knows I'm watching. I grab the radio. Base to all units. Do you copy? Static. No response. I check the West Wing hallway, heart pounding in my throat. Empty. But on the feed, the figure still moves. Still walks. Still watches. I freeze. Camera 9 shows it heading toward the Sumerian exhibit. Then the feed cuts to static. When it returns, the figure is gone. I don't go investigate. That's rule number 1. Don't investigate if you're alone. Instead, I log the incident and make a note for Julian in the morning. I'll probably get chewed out for not checking it. But I'd rather deal with that than risk breaking a rule. I've seen what happens when someone does. We all have. 2 weeks ago, we had a new hire named Leo. Ambitious guy. Thought the rules were hazing rituals. He wandered off-route on his third night, curious about a sealed-off stairwell that wasn't on the blueprints. He never came back. We found his flashlight the next morning, still on, sitting at the base of the stairwell, pointing up into an impossible black void. The kind of darkness that drinks light like water. The kind of darkness that remembers you. I finished my shift in silence, keeping my rounds tight, my steps deliberate. No shortcuts, no side glances. And when I passed the Sumerian tablet one last time at 5:54 a.m., I keep my eyes forward, breath even, heart steady. The exit buzzes open at 6 a.m. sharp. I don't look back. I never do. But as I leave, I swear I hear it again. The soft sound of stone shifting. Like something inside the museum is waking up. And it's learning the rules too. There's something about the silence inside the museum that's different from ordinary quiet. It's not just the absence of people. It's deeper, denser. It feels like the building itself is listening, breathing, waiting. After nearly 2 years on this job, I've come to recognize the subtle shifts in atmosphere, like tremors beneath calm waters. And tonight feels like a storm gathering in the distance. After that encounter on camera 9, sleep was a joke. I laid in bed as the city howled beyond my window, the subway groaning like it was dragging chains through the concrete below. I tried to tell myself it was a technical glitch. I even replayed the footage on my phone over and over, hoping to spot something rational, maybe a shadow, maybe a smudge on the lens. But what I saw was too detailed, too real. That blank-faced thing hadn't just walked through the hallway. It had studied the camera, like it knew it was being watched, like it wanted me to see it. Tonight, I returned for my next shift with my stomach clenched and my palms damp. Julian is waiting for me again, this time with a grave expression. "You ever think about quitting?" he asks suddenly. "Every week," I mutter. He hands me a folded piece of paper. "Read it. Memorize it. Burn it." I unfold the page. It's another list, an extended version of the strange rules. I already know most of the basics, but these are darker, more urgent. If you see a reflection that doesn't mimic your movements, walk away without turning your back. If you hear your name whispered and no one's around, don't answer. It's not a prank. If the janitor shows up between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and he's whistling, do not speak to him. We don't have a janitor on night shift. If an exhibit is missing from its case, don't search for it. It will return before sunrise, unless you try. I raise my eyes. "Where did you get this?" Julian just shrugs. "From someone who lasted less than a month." The paper feels heavier now, like it carries more than ink. I commit it to memory, tear it into pieces, and flush it down the staff bathroom toilet. 10 minutes into my patrol, I'm already on edge. Everything feels off. The lights are too dim. The paintings along the east corridors seem crooked, as if subtly disapproving of me. And worst of all, the air smells faintly metallic, like rain and rust, and something sour lurking beneath. I reach the central atrium. Tonight, it's colder than usual. The kind of cold that pinches your skin and creeps into your lungs. The bronze statue of Artemis in the middle of the room casts a long, unnatural shadow across the marble. I pause, watching the shadow shift, twitch. No wind, no movement. Still, it flickers like something alive is hovering nearby, just out of sight. It's then that the motion sensor on Hall C triggers a silent ping on my phone. I blink. Hall C should be empty. No special exhibits. No maintenance crew scheduled. I pull up the live feed on my tablet. It takes a second to load, but when it does, my stomach turns. There's something pacing the hall. Not a person. Not unless that person is 7 feet tall and walks like its joints are misaligned. I switch to thermal view. Nothing. No heat signature. I should call for backup. But I don't. Instead, I make my way toward Hall C, slowly, heart pounding in my ears. My flashlight flickers as I turn the corner, casting frantic shadows on the walls. The pacing sound stops. It's dead silent. I step into the hall. The displays here are mostly armor and ancient weapons from feudal Japan. Spears, lacquered shields, ceremonial masks. Everything in its place. Except the mask. One of the kabuki masks is lying face down on the floor. It had been securely mounted the night before, bolted behind reinforced glass. The case is open. No sign of forced entry. I pick up the mask carefully. It's heavier than I expected. Smooth porcelain with painted crimson lips and exaggerated brows. As I examine it, something cold brushes the back of my neck. I spin around, flashlight cutting a wide arc. Nothing. But when I turn back, the mask is gone from my hands. I didn't drop it. I didn't even blink. It's just gone. I take a step back, then another, and suddenly my radio hisses to life with static. Then a voice, raspy, drawn out, barely audible. Why did you break the rule? My blood freezes. Who is this? I whisper. Static. And then, laughter. Low. Mocking. Wrong. I switch off the radio and practically run back to the security office. On the monitors, everything looks normal again. Hall C is empty. The mask is back in its case, upright, pristine, as if it never moved at all. I don't log the incident. I know better. That's the thing about this place. If you try to document everything, the system fights back. Cameras glitch, records vanish, timestamps don't match. Some truths can't be stored digitally. They only survive by being whispered from one frightened employee to another. Later that night, I make my way toward the Egyptian wing. This is where I feel the most unease. Not fear exactly. Reverence. As if I'm intruding somewhere I was never meant to be. The hall is long, with glass cases on either side containing relics over 3,000 years old. Amulets, sarcophagi, fragments of papyrus inscribed with curses and blessings. At the far end is the highlight of the collection, the mummy of a priestess named Nephra. Her coffin is intricately painted, inlaid with gold leaf and lapis lazuli. She's been here since the 1940s. No one opens the case anymore, not after what happened in 1987. It was during a heat wave. Security footage showed the glass fogging up from the inside. When the day shift crew arrived, the case was cracked from within. No fingerprints. No damage to the exterior. Just a splintered seam running down the middle like something had tried to get out. And the guard on duty, he was found in the break room, muttering in broken ancient Egyptian. He'd never studied the language. I shine my flashlight along the display. Nephra's painted eyes stare back at me, half-lidded and eternal. That's when I hear it. Footsteps. Soft. Bare. Coming from behind me. I whirl around. The hallway is empty. But the footsteps continue. Closer now. I backpedal slowly, heart galloping. My flashlight trembles in my grip. Suddenly, I spot something. Movement in the reflection of the glass case beside me. A figure stands behind me. Tall. Pale. Unmoving. But when I spin around, there's nothing there. My breathing is ragged now. I stagger back to the central atrium, gripping the flashlight like it's the only solid thing in the world. My phone buzzes again, motion detected. Camera 6, special collections. No, that wing is always locked at night. The items there aren't just rare, they're dangerous. There's a reason it has its own sub-basement. I consider ignoring it, but that's how mistakes happen. I have to at least make sure the door's still sealed. I head there fast. The corridor grows colder with every step. The air takes on a strange pressure, like walking underwater. The special collections entrance is at the end of a reinforced hallway, sealed by 2 biometric locks and a steel deadbolt. But tonight, the door is ajar. My heart skips. I raise my flashlight and push it open slowly. Inside, the air is thick and ancient. The room smells of old paper, candle wax, and something acrid, like burned herbs. Shelves upon shelves of oddities, shamanic talismans, carved bones, books bound in animal hide. A dim red security light glows near the far wall. But something is different. There's an open space where a glass case once stood. It's gone. The artifact, a small idol from pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, has been removed. The case is shattered. No alarms were triggered. No signs of forced entry. And worst of all, the pedestal is smeared with a thick, dark residue that looks far too much like blood. I hear something scurry in the shadows. Fast. 4-legged. I don't stay to find out what it is. I slam the door shut, relock the bolts, and retreat to the security office. For the rest of my shift, I sit motionless, eyes locked on the monitors. Every sound becomes a threat. Every flicker of light, a potential horror. The building is breathing again, slow and steady. I don't blink. I don't speak. When the sun finally rises and the next guard arrives, I don't say a word. I just nod, collect my things, and leave. But as I exit the museum, something catches my eye in the marble floor near the exit. Small, muddy footprints, child-sized, leading out from the special collections wing and heading into the main hall. Whatever was in that case, it's not there anymore, and now it's roaming freely. Some museums keep their secrets locked behind vaults and laser grids. Ours wraps them in rules. You'd think a place like this would run on logic, security clearances, digital check-ins, reinforced locks. And yes, we have all of that. But there's a second system beneath the one visitors see. An older, more superstitious framework passed down through whispers, warnings, and gut instinct. And if you're smart, you follow every single one of those rules. Even the ones that make no sense. Especially those. After the special collections incident, I was called into a quiet meeting with the museum director, a man named Devereaux. He's got the kind of face that belongs in black and white photographs. Sunken eyes, high cheekbones, skin stretched too tightly over age. He never raises his voice, never blinks more than once every 10 seconds. I've seen statues with more warmth. He slid a folder across his desk toward me without a word. Inside were 17 printed pages, each one with bold black headers and thick bullet points. Supplemental night protocols, Tier 2 security personnel. At the top in red ink, do not distribute, do not photocopy, do not speak these aloud after dark. I won't recite them all here. Some I still don't understand, and others I don't dare repeat. But I can tell you about a few. The ones I broke. The ones that changed everything. Rule number 5. If you pass a child alone in the halls after 2 a.m., do not acknowledge them. Do not follow. Do not speak. They're not lost. I used to think this one was a twisted joke. Museum humor. But after the idol vanished from special collections, I started noticing things on the night shift. Small things. Like laughter echoing down the stairwell. Little smudged handprints on glass display cases I just cleaned. Toys that weren't part of any exhibit turning up on the floor. A spinning top. A frayed doll with no face. A wooden horse missing a leg. The worst was a single crayon drawing I found taped to the staff break room microwave. A sketchy red figure standing in a hall of statues. Eyes blacked out. Caption in shaky block letters. I live under the floor now. No one claimed it. When I threw it away, it was back the next night. Rule number 9. If the clock in Gallery 7 runs backward, leave the gallery immediately and avoid returning for at least 48 hours. Gallery 7 is home to a massive collection of medieval European art. Altarpieces, crucifixes, saint reliquaries. At first glance, the place is just dusty Catholicism and gold leaf. But then you notice the details, the haloed saints with blank expressions, the angels with too many wings, the icons where the eyes seem painted to follow you from every angle. One night around 3 a.m., I passed through to do my standard sweep and saw the grandfather clock at the far end tick once backward. Then again, and again, seconds rewinding, slow and deliberate. I froze. It was like time itself was draining out of the room. The air thickened, the lights dimmed by degrees. I backed out step by step, never turning my back. When I reviewed the hallway feed the next morning, the footage between 2:58 and 3:14 a.m. was corrupted, flashing static and a looping frame of me, frozen mid-step, over and over. Rule number 12. Never acknowledge your own doppelganger. If you see yourself walking down a different hallway, detour immediately. If it speaks, plug your ears. That happened only once, and it almost broke me. It was a week after the idol disappeared. I'd barely slept, was running on fumes and black coffee. I turned a corner toward the atrium and saw myself standing there. Same uniform, same flashlight, same tired face. But the thing that wore me like a skin had eyes too wide, and they didn't blink. Its smile stretched unnaturally, carved into its cheeks like someone had used a scalpel. And then it raised its hand, perfectly mimicking mine, and motioned for me to come closer. I ran. I didn't stop until I locked myself in the basement security office. I could still hear it laughing in my head hours later. You're probably wondering how anyone lasts here. Why we don't all just quit? Some do. They disappear from the group chat. Stop showing up. Others leave abruptly. Don't even bother packing their things. One guy left a note taped to his locker. I waved back. That was my mistake. But those of us who stay, we start to understand the truth. These rules aren't just procedures. They're contracts, rituals, bargains maybe. You follow them, and you survive. You deviate, even slightly, and the museum notices. Worse, it remembers. Last night, I made the mistake of breaking one of the oldest rules in the book. Rule number 2. Always begin your rounds at the Egyptian wing, never the East Asian gallery. I was behind schedule. My phone had glitched, reset its clock to 12:34 a.m. when I was sure it was already 2 o'clock. Thinking I had time, I took a shortcut through the East Asian Hall to loop into the main exhibit faster. It felt harmless, efficient even, but the moment I stepped into the lacquered corridor, I knew I had messed up. The air grew warm, too warm. The overhead lights flickered red, then a dim gold. At first, I thought the heat was from a malfunctioning HVAC system. Then I saw the scrolls on the wall move. Not flap, not sway move. One unrolled by itself, slowly revealing ink that dripped fresh down its length. Characters I didn't understand. Symbols shifting with every glance. My flashlight dimmed as a low humming filled the space. From the far end of the hall came a whisper, "Begin again." The words struck something deep in my chest. I turned and bolted out, not looking back until I was 3 galleries away, panting and cold again. But from that moment forward, something has changed. The halls are darker. The footsteps linger longer. And the rules? They're getting stricter. Tonight, a new rule appeared on the break room wall. No one knows who writes them. We just find them, usually scrawled in charcoal, or ink we can't match to any pen in the building. This one chilled me to the bone. Rule number 17. If the missing idol whispers to you, don't listen. If it begs you to return it to its pedestal, do not obey. It is trying to open something. That's when I knew, whatever got out that night isn't done yet. It has a goal, and we are in its way. I've begun seeing cracks in the building. Not literal ones, but moments, glimpses. The reflection in the security office window sometimes shows a different room. One that's darker, older, filled with smoke and bones and chanting. I blink and it's gone, but the chill remains. Artifacts have started moving subtly, inching across their displays. No alarms, no damage, just new positions every night, always angled toward exits, toward staff entrances, toward me. I started asking questions. Bad idea. I confronted Devereaux again, asked him what the idol really was, what it meant when the rules started changing. He gave me a thin smile and said, "Every museum has its ghosts. Ours just prefer rules over chains." Then he left the room. I haven't seen him since. Tonight, I'm not alone. There's a new hire, a kid named Nate, bright-eyed, twitchy, fresh from the academy. They assigned him to shadow me. I handed him the rules list. He laughed. "Oh, come on," he said. "What is this? A horror movie orientation?" I didn't laugh with him. We started the round in the Egyptian wing, just like always. But Nate kept checking his phone, ignoring the prescribed route. He stopped to take selfies near the sarcophagus exhibit, then ducked into the stairwell toward Gallery 7. Even after I told him not to, I waited outside. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Then I heard him scream. When I found him, he was lying at the base of the stairs, pale and trembling, eyes darting in different directions like he'd forgotten how to focus. He didn't say what he saw. He couldn't. He hasn't spoken since. Now, I'm finishing this shift alone again. The lights flicker in rhythm. The footsteps have returned. I pass the Sumerian tablet. It hums softly, almost like it's singing. And on my tablet, a new motion alert appears. Location, security office. But I'm not there. Not yet. I watch the feed. Someone is sitting in my chair, back turned, watching the monitors. My uniform, my posture, my hair. It's me. But it's not. It turns, slowly, toward the camera. That same grotesque smile carved into its cheeks. Its hand rises in greeting. And I remember the rule. Never acknowledge your doppelganger. If it speaks, plug your ears. But on the screen, its mouth begins to move. And I feel my hands, against my will, starting to reach for the headset. There was a time when I used to admire this place. I really did. Even after I'd seen the rules. After the shadows started shifting and the laughter bled through the walls. I'd look around the marble columns, the centuries-old artifacts, the sarcophagi and statues from civilizations long gone, and I'd feel something close to reverence. Working here once felt like a gift, a front row seat to the story of humanity carved in stone and gold. Now all I see are cages, prisons for things that should never have been moved. Tonight, I came in early. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing in the monitor, myself, or some hollow version of me, sitting at my desk, staring directly into the security camera, mouthing words I could almost understand. Almost. It looked like me, but its smile was wrong, its posture wrong, too still, too intentional. And the most terrifying part, it knew I was watching. When I arrived at the museum, I expected the place to feel empty, as usual. But as soon as I stepped through the private staff door, I knew something was different. The air was heavy, thick with something cloying, like incense and dust and rotting paper. Lights flickered down the hallway, and the usual click of the door locking behind me sounded louder than ever, almost like a vault slamming shut. The museum felt awake, not just active, but aware. As I walked past the Hall of Civilizations, I noticed something new, or rather, something out of place. A display case, one I knew for a fact had held an ornate bronze fertility idol, was empty. Again, this time, no broken glass, no alarm. The idol had simply vanished. In its place, resting on the velvet cushion, was a fresh yellow flower, wilted around the edges. A marigold. I checked the log. No entry. No cleaning crew. No updates. The idol gone. The marigold. Never cataloged. I checked the archives. No mentions. No matches. That's when I saw the message, scribbled across the bottom of the exhibit plaque in smeared black ink. It's building something. I didn't wait. I headed straight to the security office. But when I reached the door, I found it wide open. The lights were on, the monitors active, and someone was already sitting in my chair. I froze in the doorway. They didn't move. Not at first. They just stared at the monitors like a statue. And then, without turning their head, they spoke. "Do you remember the mirror in the children's wing?" I hadn't heard that voice in months. Julian. I stepped into the room slowly, unsure if this was real. He was supposed to be gone. He'd quit 2 weeks ago without a word. Nobody had seen him since. No calls, no messages. And now here he was, hunched in my chair, his reflection flickering unnaturally in the glass behind him. "Julian," I said quietly. He didn't look up. "It's almost ready. The idol. It's not just some artifact. It's a key." "A key to what?" I asked. His jaw clenched. "To the place they locked away underneath the museum. The place older than this building. Older than New York. Older than us." I moved closer. "What are you talking about?" Finally, he turned, and I wish he hadn't. His eyes were pitch black, not just the pupils. The whole sclera, like twin pools of oil. His skin was pale, cracked at the corners of his lips. Dried blood clung to the edges of his nostrils. And he smiled, a wide, broken smile that stretched like it had been forced by invisible hooks. "I just wanted to see history up close," he said, almost sadly. "And now, I'm part of it." Then he vanished. No smoke, no flash, just gone. One blink, and the chair was empty. But the monitors were still flickering. One by one, they began displaying the same image, the entrance to the Special Collections wing. Its door ajar, the lights beyond, flickering in pulse-like rhythm. Calling. I know I should have left. Should have called someone. But I couldn't. It's like the museum had a hand wrapped around my spine, pulling me back in, whispering, "You have to see it." And some part of me, some parts still enchanted by this place. Wanted to. I made my way through the East Hall, past the mummified remains of a 4,000-year-old priestess, past the mounted head of a long-extinct aurochs, past glass cases filled with coins and daggers and jewelry that had survived the fall of empires. I stopped in front of a Roman funerary stele, an engraved slab of limestone depicting a child holding a bird in one hand and a flower in the other. The plaque below had changed. It no longer read Roman stele C. 200 C. It now said, "The boy who spoke to the doors." I stepped back, heart hammering. The next exhibit, a Viking burial axe, had its label replaced too. Used to keep the first breach closed. I kept walking, faster now. The entire hall had changed. The names, the plaques, the dates, rewritten, not by human hands, but by whatever was shifting this place beneath our feet. By the time I reached the special collections door, I was shaking. But I didn't hesitate. I went inside. The air was colder than ever. Frost rimmed the shelves and cases. A dim amber glow pulsed from the far end of the room, where the stolen idol had once been. And in its place now, a circle, carved into the marble floor. Symbols etched in fresh gouges, deep enough to splinter the stone. At the center sat the idol, hovering inches above the ground, spinning slowly, whispering in a voice too old to understand, yet somehow too familiar to ignore. I stepped forward, and as I did, images flooded my mind. A city buried beneath New York, a spiral staircase descending forever, stone chambers carved with runes not found in any language we know, artifacts designed not to remember the past, but to bind it, to trap something inside history itself. And we were the keepers, the guards, the warden class. Every museum, I realized, has pieces of the seal. Every ancient artifact displayed behind glass or locked in shadow vaults. They're not just for preservation. They're containment. We've been building a prison disguised as reverence. I stumbled back, heart racing. The idol snapped its attention toward me, or maybe it always had, and its whispers grew louder. It's almost open. One more rule must be broken. One more light extinguished. Then, the room fell into darkness. I don't remember leaving. I woke up in the lobby, alone, cold, covered in dust and soot. The sun was rising. The streets outside were quiet. I checked my phone. 12 missed calls. None from anyone I knew. But one text stood out. Unknown number. Just a single message. You saw too much. Rule number 21. Don't fall in love with a museum. It loves you back, and it's jealous. I thought about quitting again. I almost did. But as I stood in the museum entrance, I looked back at the statues lining the corridor. I looked at the murals painted across the domed ceiling, at the sarcophagus cases and fossil mounts and tribal masks. They were beautiful, terrible, alive in ways I still don't understand. I walked back inside, because here's the truth. This place holds something the rest of the world has forgotten. Not just history, but the cost of remembering it. Every artifact, every rule, every shadow is a piece of something we buried for good reason. And now, the cracks are showing. Tonight, there's a new addition in the Egyptian wing. A fresh display case. No plaque. No catalog record. Inside, resting on crimson velvet, is my flashlight. The one I lost the night the idol vanished. And under it, a handwritten card. Exhibit 5331. The last guard who broke the cycle. It's not just a warning. It's a threat. Because if I don't finish the cycle, someone else will. And the rules won't save them. Not anymore. I've been thinking about that label in the glass case all night. The last guard who broke the cycle. Not a guard. The guard. Me. I don't know when the museum started writing me into its story, but now I understand. I'm not just the observer anymore. I'm part of the exhibit. Just another artifact caught in the endless rotation of things this place refuses to let go of. And tonight, I think it wants me to finish something. The museum feels different now, alive in a way that shouldn't be possible. The lights don't flicker anymore. They pulse like a heartbeat. The air is thicker, humming softly, like the whole structure is vibrating at some subterranean frequency I can almost hear, like a song being played beneath reality. When I arrived tonight, there was no Julian, no supervisor, no sign-in sheet, just a single slip of paper taped to my locker. Rule number 22. When the exhibits move without a sound, do not interfere. Let them go where they need to. I already knew what it meant. All day, I've been watching the security feeds on my phone. Silent footage showing statues turning in their cases. Fossils shifting like they're stretching after eons of stillness. Curtains fluttering even though there's no airflow. Every artifact, every single one, pointing toward the same place. The basement vault. There are some rooms in the museum we're not even supposed to acknowledge. Places designed with no public access. They're listed in the blueprints as archival overflow or non-active storage, but every veteran guard knows the truth. The basement vaults aren't for storing extra exhibits. They're where the worst things go. The objects we couldn't explain. The ones that moved on their own, or bled, or whispered at night. The ones that survived ancient plagues and secret rituals and curses so persistent they rewrote the air around them. I've only been down there once. It was enough. But tonight, the museum is opening the door on its own. 1:04 a.m. I stand at the top of the concrete stairwell leading to the sub-basement. The air is warmer than I remember, humid and full of static. With each step downward, the lights grow dimmer. By the time I reach the bottom landing, the only source of illumination is the crimson glow spilling from beneath the final security door. It's open, unlocked. The vault beyond is enormous. A cavernous room of stone and steel filled with dozens of sealed containers. Crates marked with runes and barcodes. Lead-lined sarcophagi. Shelves lined with jars that seem to breathe against the glass. And in the center, the idol, spinning again, floating silently above a carved circle of ancient glyphs. Its voice, no longer a whisper, but a chant that crawls through the skull. Let the seal break. Let the gates breathe. Let the buried world rise. I should run. I want to run. But my legs carry me forward anyway. Because I finally understand the truth. We never worked to protect the artifacts. We were protecting everything else from them. I reach the edge of the circle, and everything changes. The floor around the idol cracks outward like spider webs, revealing a deep, obsidian shaft beneath the museum. The whispering becomes a chorus. Thousands of voices layered atop one another. Children crying, priests chanting, bees snarling, glass shattering. Then I see the pieces. The museum has been assembling them for years. A spearhead from a Siberian dig. A Mayan death mask. The tooth of an extinct god thing pulled from a bog in northern Europe. All of them converging here, pulled in a place like magnets orbiting a dead star. A puzzle that, when complete, forms a key. And I'm standing on the lock. Suddenly, the vault door slams shut behind me. I whirl around, and I see him again. The doppelganger. My face, my uniform, but with that wrong smile. That same slow wave. I warned you, he says. His voice is perfect. My voice. You broke too many rules. You opened too many doors. I raise my flashlight, but it sputters out. Dead. You could have just followed the instructions, he says. But now you finish the ritual. He steps into the circle. No fear, no hesitation, and the idol begins to spin faster. Faster. The air howls. And I finally remember something Julian told me months ago. Every breach needs a bridge. A sacrifice. A willing one. That's what I've been to this museum all along. Not just a guard. A bridge. The thing in my skin steps forward, reaching out. I close my eyes. I feel the idol's pull. And then I break the rule. I step into the circle. Not to complete the ritual. To interrupt it. The whispers scream in protest. The light explodes outward in a wave of heat and static. I feel the museum shudder, tremble, walls cracking, alarms blaring, reality peeling like old wallpaper. And then, stillness, silence. I wake up on the marble floor of the central atrium. Sunlight streams in through the high windows. Birds chirp in the trees outside. And around me, nothing. No statues. No exhibits. No glass cases. Just dust. Like the entire museum has been emptied overnight. I sit up dazed. My uniform is torn. My palms are raw. There's a faint humming in my ears, and for a second, I think I hear chanting again. But no, the museum is quiet, dead, or sleeping. I don't know which. It's been 3 days. I haven't returned. I've avoided the building entirely. But last night, I found something in my apartment. A marigold, fresh, sitting on my kitchen counter, and beside it, a note written in flawless calligraphy. New rule number 1. Do not think about the museum once you leave. It will think back. I haven't slept. Everywhere I go, I see reflections that don't move when I do. Birds land near me and tilt their heads like they recognize me. My phone sometimes rings at exactly 2:34 a.m., but when I answer, all I hear is the clicking of security gates and the distant voice of a child saying, "Where did the guard go?" So here's what I know now. The museum isn't just a place. It's a doorway, a living, breathing entity built to contain pieces of something older than civilization. And we, the staff, the rules, the rituals, we're part of its defense system. But defenses break, rules fail, and when that happens, the exhibits move, the doors unlock, and someone has to step into the dark and close them again. This time, it was me. Next time, you'll see the job posting. It'll seem like just another night shift in a quiet museum. Just remember, follow the rules, all of them, or you'll become part of the next exhibit, forever.